السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, مرحبا بكم brothers and sisters. Let's get right into it. Ayah number 50 of Surah As-Saaffaat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فأقبل بعضهم على بعض يتساءلون قال قائل منهم إني كان لي قرين يقول أئنك لمن المصدقين أإذا متنا وكنا ترابا وعظاما أإنا لمدينون قال هل أنتم مطلعون فاطلع فرآه في سواء الجحيم قال تالله إن كدت لتردين ولولا نعمة ربي لكنت من المحضرين أفما نحن بميتين إلا موتتنا الأولى وما نحن بمعذبين إن هذا لهو الفوز العظيم لمثل هذا فليعمل العاملون. And they will approach one another, inquiring of each other. A speaker among them will say, Indeed, I had a companion on earth, who would say, Are you indeed of those who believe that when we have died and become dust and bones, we will indeed be recompensed? He will say, Would you care to look? And he will look and see him in the midst of the hellfire. He will say, By Allah, you almost ruined me. If not for the favor of my Lord, I would have been those brought into to hell. Then we are not to die, except for our first death, and we will not be punished. Indeed, this is the great attainment. For the like of this, let the workers on earth work.
Subhanallah, the relevance of these ayat is of great magnitude. لما ذكر تعالى نعيمهم وتمام سرورهم بالمآكل والمشارب والأزواج الحسان والمجالس الحسنة, after Allah mentioned their pleasures and the perfection of their happiness in terms of food and drink and spouses, beautiful spouses and lofty, comfortable, majalis. Majalis is a place where you recline and you sit and you relax, basically unwind. Just give me a second. Sorry, guys. ذكر تذاكرهم فيما بينهم ومطارحتهم للأحاديث عن الأمور الماضية. Allah mentioned them basically remembering amongst themselves and them sharing some of the discussions from the past that they had gone through. وأنهم ما زالوا في المحادثة والتساؤل حتى أفضى ذلك بهم إلى أن قال قائل منهم. Meaning they're sitting there conversing and talking and chit-chatting in Jannah, and the conversation will continue to go on until it leads them to one of them saying, Inni kana li qareen. Inni kana li qareen. I had a companion on earth. في الدنيا bih. This partner or friend used to deny resurrection and used to criticize me for believing in it. So basically a kafir friend. ويقول لي أئنك لمن المصدقين إذا متنا وكنا ترابا وعظاما أئنا لمدينون أي مجازون بأعمالنا, meaning are we going to be compensated for our deeds? أي كيف تصدق بهذا الأمر البعيد الذي في غاية الاستغراب? How do you believe in something so far-fetched that is very odd? It's a very odd thing to believe in. وهو أننا إذا تمزقنا فصرنا ترابا وعظاما أئنا نبعث ونعاد ثم نحاسب ونجازى بأعمالنا, that after we have basically been ripped apart and dispersed and we disintegrated into the earth, we became part of the soil, and we became bones, decayed bones, that we will be resurrected and brought back and then compensated for our deeds. أي يقول صاحب الجنة لإخواني هذه قصتي وهذا خبري أنا وقريني, meaning the companion of Jannah will say to his brothers in Jannah, this is my story and this is my information with my qareen, with my friend. وما زلت أنا مؤمنا مصدقا, yet I remained to believe, to be a believer, a truster, a believer. وهو ما زال مكذبا منكرا للبعث, and he remained a denier of the resurrection. حتى متنا, until we both died. ثم بعثنا, and we were both resurrected. فوصلت إلى ما ترون من النعيم الذي أخبرتنا به الرسل. So you see where I am, what I have attained of the pleasures that the messengers had informed us about. وهو لا شك أنه قد وصل إلى العذاب, and he, no doubt, his قرين, no doubt he has made it to his punishment. فهل أنتم مطلعون, so do you want to take a look? لننظر إليه فنزداد غبطة وسرورا بما نحن فيه ويكون ذلك رأي عين. الله أكبر. So do you want to take a look so we could increase in our happiness and joy in that which we are in, and it will be like us seeing with our own eyes what had been promised. والظاهر من حال أهل الجنة وسرور بعضهم ببعض وموافقة بعضهم بعضا أنهم أجابوه لما قال. Based on the apparent reality of what Jannah will be like, the people of happiness and the people of compatibility and how they all will get along in Jannah, it appears based on that context, that realistic, abstract context, is that they responded to him positively to what he suggested. وذهبوا تبعا له للاطلاع على قرينه, and they went with him to take a look at his قرين. فاطلع, so he looked, فرأى قرينه في سواء الجحيم, he saw him in the midst of the hellfire. أي في وسط العذاب وغمراته, meaning in the middle. Everybody turn off your Wi-Fi, please. Let me turn off mine. We have other phones. One moment. What is the pin for this phone? Mariam's. Someone come and turn off the Wi-Fi. في سواء الجحيم أي في وسط العذاب وغمراته, meaning in the middle of the punishment, and نعم. والعذاب قد أحاط به, and the punishment has encompassed him. The عذاب has surrounded him from every angle. فقال له لائما على حاله وشاكرا لله على نعمته أن نجاه من كيده. So then the man will say, blaming his friend for his condition and thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the bounty that he had bestowed upon him, thanking Allah for the bounty he had bestowed upon him, that he saved him from his plot. تالله إن كدت لتردين أي تهلكني بسبب ما أدخلت علي من الشبه بزعمك. You almost destroyed me because of the doubts that you have entered or brought upon me, as per your allegation. And this is a very important reminder, ya akhwan, that people are affected by those in their circle. People are influenced by their close companions, whether those companions are siblings, whether they are friends from the neighborhood, whether they are friends from some sort of mutual interest in a particular thing. A person, with whether or not they realize it, are often influenced by their environment. And as a result of that, people make terrible choices that will put them in the same predicament as these two people. This is why in the lecture, The Seller of Musk, which we have turned into a book that you could actually buy from Amazon, a whole lecture was delivered on the importance of having good companionship. Now, here's a little twist to the story, which is sometimes when actual companions, righteous companions, are not found, the alternative is social media companions. And sometimes the companions are not actual individuals, they are pages, they are concepts, they are ideologies, they are philosophies, they are Discord, they are Fortnite, they are some sort of entity where people are driven by the leaders of this movement, and they become absolute sheep with the brains of sheep, wherein they can no longer discern, understand, decide, assess, and make sound decisions that will help them protect themselves from the punishment of Allah. So they become imma, they become like a container. If you urinate in it, it will see it as orange juice, and it will enjoy the urine and keep it in it and let the urine marinate until it becomes the stinkiest thing on earth, and they will swear by Allah that it smells like musk and oud, because their brains have already been damaged. The brain damage has overtaken to the point where there's absolutely no common sense left in that person. The brain has been hijacked. The brain has been hijacked and captivated by a next level of stupidity, influenced by what you expose yourself to. And the person will, as the hadith mentions, they will continue to do this, and then نكتة سوداء توضع في القلب, a black dot will be placed on the heart, and then more, and another one will be added, another one will be added, until the heart becomes black. لا يعرف خيرا ولا ينكر شرا. It does not recognize good, it does not forbid evil. Rather, the next level is that the reverse happens. They will see the evil as good and the good as evil. They will become complete blind people to hidayah. And this is there's no solution for that unless a person repents to Allah. So be careful of what you watch on social media, because most people don't have the alpha male characteristics to be leaders. Most people are subdued. They claim liberty and independence, but it's only from their parents that they don't want to comply with. But any Tom, Dick, and Harry in the street with any stupid concept of life, any stupid approach to things, they will put that person on their head and say, Sami'na wa ata'na. We listen and we obey. Abshir. What do you want? What does your culture dictate? It's on me. Full-fledged, 100% submission. Not even a peep. Not even a peep. In order not to disturb your majesty and your preferences about how we're supposed to conduct ourselves. People that have absolutely no leadership in them. And if you continue to follow social media, you will become exactly like that. You will not be a leader. You will not be the one who decides, the one who makes people follow him as opposed to him following people. And when you want people to follow you want them to follow you in righteousness. You want them to follow you and doing something good. You start a good sunnah based on fundamentals of Islam, so that you become an example for others to follow, not to become a trendsetter in fashion. But all of these things are connected. Your personality, how you adapt to your environment. So look at this conversation between the two people. One person was righteous and he was adamant on righteousness. And he had a friend, a companion that kept telling him, are you kidding me? You really believe in resurrection? You really believe in the day of judgment? You really believe you'll be held accountable? And when it's all said and done, one is going to be in Jannah and the other one is going to be in Jahannam. One is going to laugh and one is going to be laughed at. So what are you doing today so you will know where you're going to wind up then? Are you going to be the one laughing or are you going to be the one laughed at? Who are your friends? Who are you learning from? If you have a person in your circle that is a bad example, beg Allah to make you not follow that person's bad ways. Beg Allah to make you better than that person. It could be your own father. I could be a bad example for my children. Or my father could be a bad example for me. I beg Allah not to make me like him in that way. To make me better than him. To make me a better Muslim. More righteous. More knowledgeable. Whatever it could be. If we see someone in our circle that is a bad influence, we should beg Allah more than anything to protect us from the negative influence of this person. Because the matter is severe. The matter is not about, you missing out on a picnic or you missing a school day or a football match. You're talking about missing on Jannah and burning in hell. What else do you want? This is how severe the situation is. So your friend could be either a physical person that is leading you astray, or it could be social media that is leading you astray, that is justifying haram, that is desensitizing you from the gravity of haram. To the point exactly like the munafiq is described by Ibn Mas'ud. The munafiq, he looks at his sins like a fly that comes on his nose. Goes like this. You see him walking around. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. It's business as usual. Absolutely no concern about the gravity of violations. Where the believer sees his sins as a mountain that is over his head about to crash on him and destroy him. The munafiq always sees his sins as a fly. You just go like this to it and it goes away. What's the big deal? It's not that deep. It's not that deep. No sin is that deep, by the way. All sins are just shallow. Y'all just tripping. No, the screen is laggy for all of us, Habibi. معلش. The Wi-Fi is a little weak today. طيب. ولولا نعمة ربي على أن ثبتني على الإسلام. Had it not been for Allah that He kept me firm upon Islam, لكنت من المحضرين. I would have been among those who were brought forward. And by the way, it's the bounty of Allah that keeps you a Muslim. And it's an indication that you might lose Islam if you continue to take the matter lightly. So let us be careful. لكنت من المحضرين في العذاب معك. I would have been brought into this punishment with you. I would have been, ruined with you. أفما نحن بميتين إلا موتتنا الأولى وما نحن بمعذبين. أي يقوله المؤمن مبتهجا بنعمة الله على أهل الجنة بالخلود الدائم والسلامة من العذاب. The believer says it while extremely joyful with the bounty of Allah, and he's saying this to the people of Jannah who will be in there for eternity, being saved from the punishment. استفهام بمعنى الإثبات والتقرير. It is an interrogative sentence with the intent of affirmation and confirmation. So, more or less, sometimes what we call rhetorical. وقوله فأقبل بعضهم على بعض يتساءلون وحذف المعمول. When Allah Azza wa Jal said, and they basically came together, where is it? When they came together to have these discussions, and He didn't mention the object of the sentence, meaning what is it that they're discussing? وَالْمَقَامُ مَقَامُ لَذَّةٍ وَسُرُورٍ. And the context is one of joy and happiness. فدل ذلك على أنهم يتساءلون بكل ما يتلذذون بالتحدث به والمسائل التي وقع فيها النزاع والإشكال. Meaning they will discuss everything that they will find joy in discussing. And they will discuss matters that people used to differ about in the dunya. Things that were controversial or things that the people basically differed on. ومن المعلوم أن لذة أهل العلم بالتساؤل عن العلم والبحث عنه فوق اللذات الجارية في أحاديث الدنيا. الله أكبر. And it is known that the pleasure of the people of knowledge is to discuss matters of knowledge, and that for them this is greater and more pleasurable than the matters of the dunya that the people discuss. فلهم من هذا النوع النصيب الوافر. So they will get the biggest portion of that. ويحصل لهم من انكشاف الحقائق العلمية في الجنة ما لا يمكن التعبير عنه. And they will get like the reality of the matters of knowledge things that we cannot even express. Meaning the people of knowledge, the matters that they differed on in the dunya, what was the right position, what was the correct opinion, those matters that are of concern to them today, they will be given basically the conclusion of those difference in Jannah, and this will be among the things that they will discuss, and they will find happiness and pleasure in actually discussing these matters. فلما ذكر تعالى نعيم الجنة ووصفه عفوا بهذه الأوصاف الجميلة, after Allah mentioned the bounty of Jannah and described it with these beautiful descriptions, مدحه وشوق العاملين وحثهم على العمل له. Allah then praised it, and he encouraged the workers to work in that, towards that. فقال إن هذا لهو الفوز العظيم. إن هذا لهو الفوز العظيم. Indeed, this is the great attainment. الذي حصل لهم به كل خير وكل ما تهوى النفوس وتشتهي. Because of that, they attain every good and everything that the soul desires and needs. واندفع عنهم به كل محذور ومكروه, and they were able to avoid every dislike and every discomfort and every hated matter. فهل فوز يطلب فوقه? Do you seek a victory greater than that? هو غاية الغايات ونهاية النهايات, or is it the epitome of wants and the end of all endings? حيث حل عليهم رضا رب الأرض والسماوات. رب الأرض والسماوات, where the pleasure of the Lord of the heavens and earth has been bestowed upon them. وفرحوا بقربه, and they will rejoice his nearness. وتنعموا بمعرفته, and they will enjoy knowing him. واستروا برؤيته وطربوا لكلامه, and they will be happy by gazing at Allah Azza wa Jal, and their ears will find pleasure in hearing his speech subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as you know, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we believe that the believers will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Jannah. The believers in Jannah will be able to see their Lord, and they will have absolutely no problem in looking at Allah Azza wa Jal in the life to come. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us among them. لمثل هذا فليعمل العاملون. For the like of this, let the workers on earth work. فهو أحق ما أنفقت فيه نفائس الأنفاس. It is the most deserving of what you spend of the expensive or the costly spendings. وأولى ما شمر إليه العارفون الأكياس, and it is the most deserving of what the intellectual people basically roll up their sleeves for. والحسرة كل الحسرة أن يمضي على الحازم وقت من أوقاته وهو غير مشتغل بالعمل الذي يقرب لهذا الدار. And regret upon regret for anyone who lets his time go by wherein he is not preoccupied with a deed that will get him closer to that abode. فكيف إذا كان يسير بخطاياه إلى دار البوار? Then how is it if the loss is on the person who merely misses out on these golden opportunities? Then what about the one who is willingly walking with his sins to the abode of punishment? Yani it's a disaster that a person misses out on these, what is known as mawasim, seasons. Quran is a season. The Quran is a season where the shayateen are locked away. The shayateen are locked away. You find willingness to worship your Lord. You find willingness to pray Qiyam al-Layl. You find the ability and the facilitation of fasting. You find yourself reciting the Quran more than you recite the Quran the entire year. This is a season. And the Prophet ﷺ made dua against the person who reaches Ramadan and it goes out and he hasn't had his sins forgiven because of the misapplication and not taking advantage and not misutilizing his time. It's the month of khair and barakat. So if you're sleeping half of the 3/4 of the fasting day, and you're playing the other quarter, and you're reading some Quran, you're missing missing out on the season. You're still missing out on the season. And we're not saying that you're going to be able to worship Allah 24 hours. No, of course, there's going to be time for recuperation, to recuperate, time to rest, time to unwind. It's because otherwise the human is weak. The human is weak. But it has to be in moderation. It has to be in moderation, lest we miss out on this great season. والله المستعان. طيب تفضل.
أذلك خير نزلا أم شجرة الزقوم إنا جعلناها فتنة للظالمين إنها شجرة تخرج في أصل الجحيم طلعها كأنه رؤوس الشياطين فإنهم لآكلون منها فمالئون منها البطون ثم إن لهم عليها لشوبا من حميم ثم إن مرجعهم لإلى الجحيم إنهم ألفوا آباءهم ضالين فهم على آثارهم يهرعون ولقد ضل قبلهم أكثر الأولين ولقد أرسلنا فيهم منذرين فانظر كيف كان عاقبة المنذرين إلا عباد الله المخلصين. Is that paradise a better accommodation or the tree of Zaqqum? Indeed, we have made it a torment for the wrongdoers. Indeed, it is a tree issuing from the bottom of the hellfire, its emerging fruit as if it was heads of the devils. And indeed, they will eat from it and fill it with their bellies. Then indeed, they will have after it a mixture of scalding water. Then indeed, their return will be to the hellfire. Indeed, they found their fathers astray, so they hastened to follow in their footsteps. And there had already strayed before them most of the former peoples, and we had already sent among them warners. Then look how was the end of those who were warned, but not the chosen servants of Allah.
أذلك خير أي ذلك النعيم الذي وصفناه لأهل الجنة خير أم العذاب الذي يكون في الجحيم من جميع أصناف العذاب? What is better? That pleasure that we described for the people of Jannah, is it better? Or the punishment that will be in the hellfire that includes all types of torments? فأي الطعامين أولى? Which of the two foods is more deserving? الطعام الذي وصف في الجنة, the food that was described in Jannah, أم طعام أهل النار, or the food of the people of the fire, والعياذ بالله, وهو شجرة الزقوم, and that is the tree of Zaqqum. إنا جعلناها فتنة أي عذابا ونكالا. We made it a source of punishment and revenge. للظالمين أنفسهم بالكفر والمعاصي, for those who wrong themselves. بالكفر for the disbelievers, and معاصي for the believers. So this is inclusive to the disbelievers and to the Muslims. The kuffar by their kufr, and the mu'min and the Muslim بالمعصية. إنها شجرة تخرج في أصل الجحيم أي وسطه. So it's a tree that issues from the bottom of the hellfire, meaning from the middle. فهذا مخرجها ومعدنها. This is its place of sprouting and origin. شر المعادن وأسوأها. It is the worst of type, the worst of roots. وشر المغرس يدل على شر الغراس وخسته. And the evil rooting of the tree is indicative of the evilness of the outcome. ولهذا نبهنا الله على شرها بما ذكر أين تنبت به وبما ذكر من صفة ثمرتها. That's why Allah notified us about its evil by mentioning where does it come from? The middle of the hellfire, from the bottom and the middle of the hellfire. And what is its fruits? وأنها كرؤوس الشياطين. It is like the heads of the devils, والعياذ بالله. فلا تسألوا بعد هذا عن طعمها وما تفعل في أجوافهم وبطونهم. Don't ask after that about its taste. if the tree comes from the middle of the hellfire and the fruits of the tree look like the heads of the shayateen, wal billah, don't even ask afterwards about what it will do to their internals and to their stomachs, to their bellies. وَلَيْسَ لَهُمْ عَنْهَا مَنْدُوحَةٌ وَلَا مَعْدِلٌ, and they will have no escape or avoiding from it. ولهذا قال, that's what Allah said, فإنهم لآكلون منها فمالئون منها البطون, and indeed they will eat from it and fill with it their bellies. فهذا طعام أهل النار فبئس الطعام طعامهم. This is the food of the people of the fire, and what a terrible food is their food. This is what they will eat. ثم ذكر شرابهم, that Allah mentioned what they will drink. Subhanallah. ثم إن لهم عليها, أي على أثر هذا الطعام. يعني when you eat, you want to help, drink something that will wash it down, something that will help you, eat. After you eat, you want something to basically help you get rid of whatever is left maybe in your mouth. What is their affair? أي ماء لشوب من حميم أي ماء حارا قد تناهى حره. It is extremely hot water that has reached the epitome of heat. كما قال تعالى وَإِن يَسْتَغِيثُوا يُغَاثُوا بِمَاءٍ كَالْمُهْلِ يَشْوِي الْوُجُوهِ. And if they beg, then they will be given water that will be like fire that will burn their faces. بِئْسَ الشَّرَابُ وَسَاءَتْ مُرْتَفَقًا. What a terrible drink, and what a terrible مرتفق, something that you accompany. وكما قال تعالى وسقوا ماء حميما فقطع أمعاءهم. In Surah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah said, and they were given hot scalding water that will rip apart their intestines. Yani their internal organs will get burnt and ripped apart from the heat of the food that they eat and from the food that they drink. ثم إن مرجعهم أي مآلهم ومقرهم ومأواهم لإلى الجحيم. After all this, their return will also be to the hellfire. ليذوقوا من عذابه الشديد وحره العظيم ما ليس عليه مزيد من الشقاء. So they will taste more of that punishment and more of that heat, after which there's nothing left. Yani. This is as bad as it gets for a person. These are the warnings that Allah gives the believers in the Quran, so we can all take heed. These are ذَلِكَ يُخَوِّفُ اللَّهُ بِهِ عِبَادَهُ. This is what Allah Azza wa Jal uses to scare His slaves, and you and I should be scared. We should be scared. No one is safe. No one should feel as though he made it. If you feel that you are safe, that means by Allah you are far from safe. If you feel that you are good to go, by Allah you are nowhere near being good to go. That's just the way Allah made it. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْتُونَ مَا آتَوا وَقُلُوبُهُمْ وَجِلَةٌ أَنَّهُمْ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ رَاجِعُونَ. And those who put forward the good deeds that they put, while their hearts are trembling that they're going to return to their Lord. If you read the Tafseer, it's people that do Siyam and Salah and Zakah, but they don't know whether Allah accepted from them or not. They have no comfort or peace of mind or relaxation that they're good to go, that Allah has accepted these good deeds from them. They do all these good deeds while they are fearful that they were not accepted from them. And the hypocrite works the other way around. They do a little bit and they see it as great. They do a little bit of good. It's good. But they see it as this gigantic good. Oh, look how much I've done. Look at all the good that I've done. And they dismiss all the evil that they're doing. They're doing all kinds of evil. No issue. Little bit of good, then the shaitan glorifies it and magnifies it and enlarges it in their eyes and in their minds, so they see it as great and they feel, oh, I'm a great Muslim. I'm actually better than so many Muslims out there. That is not how you think. Look at all the better Muslims than you that you're nowhere near. When you want to compare yourself to people, you compare yourself to people that are better than you. You don't compare to people that are worse than you, because you will always feel good about yourself. And once you feel good about yourself, you are in trouble. You're not supposed to feel good about yourself. That's the whole point. You're supposed to belittle your deeds, belittle your good, look down upon yourself, see yourself as being miskeen, not worthy of Allah, not worthy of worshiping Him, not worthy of being allowed to pray in front of Him or pray before Him and beg Him. And you're not worthy of any of this. This is from the favor of Allah. It's from Allah's favor that He allowed you to pray Taraweeh. It's from the favor of Allah that He allowed you to recite the Quran. It's from the favor of Allah that He allowed you to engage in good. And even when you're doing that, you don't have that kind of audacity or that arrogance that you're doing such a fantastic job, because you're not. We are a million times worse than our Salaf. A million times worse than our Salaf. And they were human beings like us. They weren't aliens. They weren't malaika angels. They were humans like us. But wallahi, they were truly fearful of Allah. They were real slaves of Allah. They would finish the Quran every 2 days and 3 days. Look at us, happy with a single completion, if a single completion is done. If they would finish the Quran every 2 days, every 3 days. So in Ramadan, that's how many times? If they finish it every 2 days, how many times is that? That's 60 times. Or less. 15. 15 khatma. And believe me, they didn't put it on the Instagram. They didn't. No one would know. No one would know that they were doing all this. They wouldn't even want the people to know. They would not even want the people to know. So never feel safe. Because feeling safe or admiring your good deeds is a one way to Jahannam. Not one way to paradise. It's one way to Jahannam. Admiring your good deeds is one way to Jahannam. You might have to mention your good deeds at times for people to be an example, and you have to check your intention when mentioning them for you if you are a leader in a community or what have you. Otherwise, keep it low-key, tell nobody. And between yourself, look down upon these deeds and know that it's all from Allah's mercy and that you did a terrible job in execution. Absolute terrible job in execution. It's as though it was said, what made people reach that abode? فقال إنهم ألفوا أي وجدوا. They found آباءهم ضالين. They found their forefathers astray. فهم على آثارهم يهرعون أي يسرعون في الضلال. So they are chasing their forefathers. They are in their footstep hastening. So they hasten in misguidance. فلم يلتفتوا إلى ما دعتهم إليه الرسل ولا إلى ما حذرتهم عنه الكتب ولا إلى أقوال الناصحين. So they paid no attention to what the messengers invited them to, or to what the books warned them against, or to what the advisors told them. They paid no attention to those. بل عارضوهم بأن قالوا, rather they opposed all of them by saying إنا وجدنا آباءنا على أمة وإنا على آثارهم مقتدون. We found our forefathers upon this way of life and we're going to follow our forefathers. This is assuming that these people's forefathers are astray. What if your parents are actually not astray? Your parents are actually telling you and trying to make sure that you don't wind up in hell when it's all said and done. And you treat them as the same way the disbelievers treated the messengers that came to them. Read the Quran. They said to Nuh, لَإِن لَمْ تَنْتَهِ لَنَرْجُمَنَّكَ. If you don't stop, we're going to stone you. They would say to their messengers, if you don't stop, harassing us and giving us da'wah and reminding us and trying to protect us, we're going to kill you, man. We're going to stone you. And what did we read in Surah Yasin? What did they say to the messengers? إِنَّا تَطَيَّرْنَا بِكُمْ لَإِن لَمْ تَنْتَهُ لَنَرْجُمَنَّكُمْ. If we find you as a bad omen, if you don't stop, we're going to stone you. This is what the disbelievers said to the advisors and the prophets and the messengers. So when your parents are trying to do, your parents are not astray, and then trying to provide you with a way of life where you are not intelligent enough yet to see the good from the bad, and you treat them like the disbelievers treated the messengers, then wallahi, this is the epitome of loss. And you are resembling the disbelievers in your rejection of advice. They said we found our forefathers like this. And nowadays, people don't say we found our forefathers. We found, the YouTubers, the influencers. Oh, people post this kind of stuff. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, as long as Fulan, Speed does it. Speed. Who the hell is Speed? Oh, Speed. You don't know Speed? Oh, you don't know Speed? You know Khalid al-Walid? Wallahi, I've heard that name, Walid. What's the name of the Sahabi who was boycotted by the Muslims because he did not join the battle of Tabuk, Ghazwat Tabuk, and Allah revealed Quran concerning them. وَضَاقَتْ بِهِمْ الْأَرْضُ بِمَا رَحُبَتْ. Who knows the name of the Sahabi? What Sahaba are you talking about? What is this in the Quran? And Slow and Ronaldo and Messi وشيف جوردن وشيف بطيخة وآل باتيتو وآل مانينو ومدري إيش. يا حبيبي, list of حيوانات, a list of حيوانات that we know their intricate details and their lifestyles and their folk and everything. Those we know. But mention some Sahaba. Oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah, I think come across before. What are the three categories of Tawheed? Wait, let me think. I think I've heard that there are three categories. Let me think. Oh, let you think. Allah yakhrab baytak. Think about what, ya ibn al-ish. How long have you been studying and hearing this stuff? Wake up. Wake up. It's about time you woke up. Social media will send you straight to Jahannam. What you watch will mess up with your brain. What you watch will mess your brain, and you don't even know that you're being brainwashed. You're being hypnotized, and you don't know that you are already hypnotized. Only outsiders can look and say, oh, that's bad. Oh, yeah, that's bad. Oh, you're affected. And you're like, what? Me? Affected? What? No, a'udhu billah, no, no, I know what I'm doing. You don't know jack. Been there, done that. 30 years ago. What are we going to say? Maybe one day those reminders will kick in. Maybe one day Allah will open the hearts so that the reminder will resonate and impact and set us on a straight path. That's what we hope from Allah Azza wa Jal. That's why our job is to do tadhkira. وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Remind, verily the reminder benefits the believers. The more you are a believer, the more you will benefit from the reminder. The more you are a waffler, a whacker, the more the reminder will go from this ear right out of that one. Like you hear a whole reminder, and then you find one mistake in the reminder, and then you forget of all my reminder, and you get on the mistake. Then you said this over there. The whole reminder didn't register. Okay, I made a mistake here. Yep. That's how the shaitan messes with you. And you think, yep, yeah, I'm such a smart guy. Look, I caught him. I caught him. And then you caught a slap on your face from shaitan, who's sitting there in the corner, laughing at you endlessly. And unless you defeat him in this life, you will be with him in the life to come, in that Jahannam that Allah described. We ask Allah to protect us. Allah said about them, أي بل عارضوهم يقولوا إن وجدنا آباءنا ولقد ضل قبلهم أي قبل هؤلاء المخاطبين. Before those who are being addressed now, many have gone astray. أكثر الأولين وقليل منهم آمن واهتدى. Most of those former people were astray. Only few of them were believed and were guided. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا فِيهِمْ مُنذَرِينَ يُنذِرُونَهُم مِّنْ غَيِّهِمْ وَضَلَالِهِمْ. We sent among them messengers, warners, who would warn them from their wickedness and from their deviance. فَانظُرْ كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُنذَرِينَ. So look at the outcome, look what has happened to those who have been warned. Look at the end of those who were warned. كانت عاقبتهم الهلاك والخزي والفضيحة. Their punishment was destruction, humiliation, and exposure. فليحذر هؤلاء أن يستمروا على ضلالهم فيصيبهم مثل ما أصابهم. So let those who are listening now be wary in continuing in their evil ways, lest they are afflicted with that which afflicted the people before them. وَلَمَّا كَانُوا الْمُنذَرُونَ لَيْسُوا كُلُّهُمْ ضَالِّينَ. And when those who were warned were not all astray, بَلْ مِنْهُمْ مَنْ آمَنَ وَأَخْلَصَ الدِّينَ لِلَّهِ. But among them were those who were sincere to Allah in their religion. استثناهم الله من الهلاك. Allah made them an exception from the destruction. فقال إلا عباد الله المخلصين أي الذين أخلصهم الله وخصهم برحمته لإخلاصهم. Those whom Allah has selected and chosen, and those whom Allah gave His specific mercy to them for their sincerity. فَأَنَّ عَوَاقِبَهُمْ صَارَتْ حَمِيدًا. Their end was praiseworthy accordingly. Then Allah mentioned namudaj, an example of the outcome of the ummam that came before that were liars, but that we will do inshallah ta'ala tomorrow, which is ayah number 75. And now we can open the floor for the Q&A inshallah. I know the ruling for boycotting in Muslim countries, but in non-Muslim countries, those who purposely buy Coke, Starbucks, can they be called sinners? If so, there's proof we can buy. We are at war with. No, I cannot. You cannot call them sinners. You cannot call them sinners. They're simply missing out on being better Muslims, but I don't know of any evidence that makes them sinners, because we have evidences from the Seerah that the Prophet ﷺ was doing business with certain tribes during war. But is it better that you boycott? Yes, it is. Is it better that you boycott, especially in non-Muslim countries? Absolutely. And I would be, for the sinner, you need an evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah. And I don't know. Again, some people really don't truly understand the reality of franchising and where governments collect funds from for their military agendas. And I've come across multiple sources of information. The way they explain it, it's not like you buy a Starbucks and then that let's say 0.01% or 0.2% of that cappuccino you bought is actually going to go to the United States, and the United States will use that particular money to give it to the Zionists, and then the Zionists will use this to kill a Palestinian. This is how the Ahl al-Boycott wanted to seem this way. They wanted to appear this way. This is their simplistic view on things. But the reality is the political reality of how economy and how these things are financed is completely different. And I'm not an expert. But for us to say that person is sinful, then that very simplistic view has to be confirmed. And that simplistic view is not confirmed by the experts. It's confirmed by social media influencers and so-called du'at whose whole deen is based on boycotting. Someone like Ali Dawah, who will come and say about our brother Faris al-Hamadi that he will spit on his beard. He will spit on the camera or spit on his beard. Because how did he buy a Coke? How did he buy a Starbucks? And then they sit there watch with a Coke in front of them. So if they really were, if Ali Dawah and his clan were sincere, because there's a video of them where they're sitting in front of a Coca-Cola, which they did not buy. But if they were sincere, they would have called that person out and they would have thrown him away. They should have thrown him away. If they were really sincere, the way they are demonizing and passing, calling the rabbi and Zionists to fellow Muslims, had they been sincere, they would not have allowed this Coca-Cola to even remain on the sufra. You would remove it completely and you will scold whoever bought it. اشبك يا مجنون. جيب الكوكاكولا على هذا المكان وهذه Zionists وعارفين while they're living in the UK and paying taxes to the UK government, we're going to pretend and using iPhones, we're going to pretend that all these don't help. All of these are not helping the the killing of Palestinians, right? We're going to assume none of these are helping. If they were sincere, they would have gotten rid of those Coca-Colas. They wouldn't just be sitting there, whether or not they drink it. So, because is it an issue of drinking or is it an issue of buying? Someone bought them and they're within their circle. These are clowns. These are hypocritical clowns, double standard clowns. If they hate you, they're going to make you seem like the worst person on earth. If they like you, adi, it's okay. They will pat each other's back and everything will be smooth. You know how it goes, man. It's a joke, man. Allah musta'an. Which Sahabi can you relate your personality to? Umar ibn al-Khattab. I cannot relate, but I would like to be like him. And yes, I'm a little stern. I'm not the soft-hearted, gentle person that, for example, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was. If I were the person in charge, I will be like Umar. I'll be walking around with a stick, whooping people. Wallahi. I'll be walking around in the marketplace, whooping people. I'll be in the masjid, whooping people. I'll be whooping people left, right, and center. Like Umar used to do when people went out of line, he put them in line. He's the person in charge. He's the wali al-amr. He's the ruler. He has the authority to do that. Wallah, I'll be walking around whooping people day and night. That would be I wouldn't even go home. I would not even go home. I'll be out in the street doing amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. Because that's what some people just deserve a whooping so they could, knock some sense into them. That's me. But Umar was mulham, so it's okay, inshallah. Ustad, I started Arba'in Nawiyya playlist too. This guy. Yahya, you're a naughty one. I take notes on my iPad. Loser. Can you give me any tips for note taking regarding this playlist specifically? Well, yes, first switch to a Tab S9 Ultra with the S Pen that comes with it. You don't have to buy the S Pen separately, and you don't have to charge the S Pen. It charges on the back of the tablet on its own wirelessly. You'll be able to take much better notes than your iPad. But there's nothing really specific. I would say take notes of the key points. This is what I do when I attend the durus of the mashayikh. Anything that I think I need to retain as an important information for the future, I write it down. I write it down. And I would write also keywords that I might want to search up later on. So if the sheikh mentions something that I'm not familiar with, I need to research later, I will write it down. Now, what's going on? Why y'all fighting always? How can a person deal with the people overpraising them, yet the person knows they're not perfect and this could impact their sincerity? Should they tell the people to stop, or is this inappropriate? Of course, you should tell them to stop. And the Prophet ﷺ even said that, you could throw dirt in their face. If someone praises you in their face, throw dirt in their face. Because this is the haliqa. This is the one that will shave off it will kill you. It's the killer. It will kill you. You kill your brother by praising them in their face. Don't entertain it. As soon as a person praises you, say, hey, shukran, please. I know myself better. Like Abu Bakr used to say, Allahumma la tu'akhidhni bima yaqulun. Oh Allah, do not hold me accountable for what they say. وَجَعَلْنِي خَيْرًا مِمَّا يَظُنُّونَ وَاغْفِرْ لِي مَا يَعْلَمُونَ. And forgive me for what they don't know and make me better than what they think. Put the person in their place right away. Hey, cut the crap, man. What you talking about, man? I'm a miserable sinner. I am a miserable sinner. You're seeing one facet, one aspect of me. I know myself better. Spare me, please. Yeah, tell them. Shut them up right then and there. What is this fight about? What's going on between Zayd and Abdullah? What did Zayd say? Zayd was upset that I spoke about his people or something? What am I missing here? عادي يا أخي والله بطيخة ماشي. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. Sheikh, is it permissible for someone to keep a photo of an actor, singer, or celebrity, or post it as a profile photo? أعوذ بالله, of course not. A photo of an actor, singer, or celebrity? Of course not, because you're promoting them. If you put a photo, we're assuming it's a male, right? A female is a no-brainer. Inshallah, she's the most She's the shaykh of all the mashayikh or the shaykhat. You cannot put a picture of a woman on social media or as a profile picture anywhere on planet Earth, anywhere under the sun. There should be no picture of a woman. So, assuming this actor, singer, celebrity is a man, you are promoting a wicked person. An actor is not a righteous person. They're lying day and night. A singer is not a righteous person. They're singing day and night. And a celebrity, Allahu Alam what kind of celebrity, maybe is a sports person. Still, why would you put a picture of some random person and open the door? No, it's not permissible. No, it is not permissible. Again, have some self-appreciation. If you want to have a picture of yourself so that the people know who you are. People called, Ibn Battuta, and he has a picture of a batta. And you say, who are you? And they're all over the place talking this and talking smack, with using anonymous accounts and anonymous pictures and anonymous. You don't know who the heck you're dealing with. Be a man. Be proud of yourself. You have a picture of yourself. Put a picture of yourself so we know who the heck we're talking to. Or put a picture of something random. Don't put a picture of someone else. And don't use these names where you're anonymous. Nobody knows who in the world you are. Now, whenever I pursue knowledge, within 5 minutes I get bored. Allahu Akbar. But I could spend hours watching useless stuff, not getting bored. How do I cure this issue? By being patient, man. Eliminate watching the useless stuff. Don't put that as an option, because as long as you have it as an option, it seems that you're gonna prefer that over seeking knowledge. Don't close that door. Close that door, and be more patient and persevere in your acquisition of knowledge. You need sabr. I've heard that if someone has food in his hand or water in a cup and adhan for Fajr starts, he should finish it instead of throwing it. Is there a maximum to this? What it's half a plate left? There's a difference of opinion among the scholars, and the safest opinion is that you don't, unless you have a cup of water already, towards your mouth, then you finish that sip. But if you have a plate, then don't. No, don't. Just put it down and start fasting. You could eat it for iftar, inshallah. If I'm reciting the Quran and someone sneezes, should I finish the ayah before replying to the sneeze, or should I reply to the sneeze? You could finish the ayah, then reply to the sneezed. Unless you happen to be reciting Ayatul Dain in Surah Al-Baqarah, which is a whole safha. In which case, you could return this, you could say, Yarhamukallah, and then repeat the ayah from the beginning. Is it a bid'ah that the mosque have a separate section for ladies, or is it permissible? No, it's not. It's from actually maqasid al-sharia. It falls under the objectives of the sharia. The objectives of the sharia is to segregate between men and women. And having a women's section serves that purpose. So it's completely fine. And it's not a bid'ah. If I'm trying to cut and my parents command me to eat a food that will mess up the day's calories intake, must I obey? Yes, you must obey. Balakat bala battikh. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How to measure zakat al-fitr in the simplest way, barakallah fiqh. I have a video, ya al-faqir ilallah. I have a video on our channel that describes zakat al-fitr. It's basically 3 liters of food. So sa', and a sa' is equal to 3 liters because it's measured in volume and not weight. So if you get a 1 liter pitcher and you fill it up 3 times, that would be a sa'. And that is zakat al-fitr for 1 person. Is Iblis the most punished in hell? I don't know of any evidence that he'll be the most punished in hell. Everybody in hell will be punished. I don't know who will be the most severely punished. Allahu alam. They could be. I don't know the answer. Is it from the sunnah to recite Hasbi Allahu la ilaha illa alayhi tawakkaltu wa huwa rabbul arsh al-azim? Where is the rest? In the morning and the evening, and Allah will suffice in everything. Yes, it is. It is from the sunnah to do so. But why did you not continue it? حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. That is the الدعاء المأثور or الذكر المأثور عن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام لأذكار الصباح والمساء. نعم. If someone traveling, do they have to fast? Come on, man. فَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. Whoever is ill or traveling, then an equal number of days to be made up. So clear ayah in the Quran that you don't have to fast if you're traveling. And when does one break the fast? While on the journey or before the journey begins? No, you break your fast after once you're on the journey, not before the journey, because you might not travel after all. Some of the scholars have a different opinion that if you know you're traveling for sure and you need to eat early on, then you could. But there's check the fatwa on Islam QA. I think they address this issue extensively. Now, is Khatm al-Quran from Sunnah? And why did Masjid Haramain we make long dua 20 minutes before ruku after completing the Quran? Is this from the Sunnah? Shukran. Khatm al-Quran is from the Sunnah, yes, because the Prophet, Mustafa, can you please go? The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam used to go over the entire Quran with Jibreel in Ramadan. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to go over the entire Quran with Jibreel in Ramadan. So it is from the Sunnah for you to complete the Quran in Ramadan based on the action of the Prophet ﷺ with Jibreel. As for this long 20-minute dua, then it's absolutely not from the Sunnah. And it is a type of torturing the believers. It's a type of torture. When the Prophet ﷺ taught Al-Hasan the dua of Qunut, it was a couple of sentences. It was a few sentences. Some of the scholars say you may add a little bit more. وخلاص. اللهم اهدني فيمن هديت وعافني فيمن عافيت وتولني فيمن توليت وبارك لي فيما أعطيت وقني شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك إنه لا يذل من وليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت. That's it. That's what he taught him. That's what he taught him. You want to do more? That's fine. 20 minutes. 20 minutes. 20 minutes. The people's legs are about to fall apart. People are tired. Especially the way people now don't follow the sunnah in the way they deal with the dua aslan. They're really screaming, Amen! 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 Ya Allah! Habibi, إيش بأمك أنت? إيش بك أنت? What are you doing? Are you worshipping Allah? Walla you're freaking out from an earthquake? Walla you're having a seizure? Walla you're on your deathbed? Walla what is happening with you? What kind of conduct and behavior is this? Ya Ustad al-Fadil. Ya Akhi, the believer is a beggar before Allah. You're like this. Ameen. Ameen. Even the one making dua is supposed to have some adab with Allah Azza wa Jal. Adab, some manners with Allah. Allahumma hdina fi man hadayt wa afina fi man afayt wa tawallana fi man tawallayt. And the people behind say, Ameen, Ameen. A bunch of poor people begging their Lord. Not an imam. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا. And the people Wallah al-Azim, you think you're in a funeral with a bunch of non-Muslim women having a panic attack when their loved one died. This is not the deen of Allah. This is not Islam. This is something else. People don't realize the gravity of how astray we are in these manners, in these matters. It's sad. And when you bring it up, like, oh yeah, look at this guy. This guy's crazy. He thinks this. We have evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah. But it's happening in the haram. The haram is not revealed by Allah. It's human beings. They're not in line with the Sunnah. May Allah guide us and guide them. May Allah guide us and guide them to the Sunnah. When you're the Imam, when you become an Imam, please follow the guidelines of the Prophet ﷺ and how you make dua. Jews sacrificing red cow, which would lead to destruction of Al-Aqsa and building of third temple. Should we be concerned about this? Is there any mention of destruction of Al-Aqsa in Quran or Hadith? This whole prophecy of the red cows that has been circulating, and that they found them in Texas, and these cows have to meet certain criteria. There should be no white hair, any kind of discoloration, or any kind of different color in them. And after they sacrifice them, they will get the water. Da 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 da. All this is from Jewish sources, not from Islamic sources. And what the Jews do, I mean, the Jews are the kings of plotting and planning, and the kings of lies and fabrications, and lying against the messengers and killing the messengers. So you cannot take these people seriously. And let's hypothetically say that they're going to destroy Al Masjid Al Aqsa and build the temple. And do you think our Islam, do you think the obligation of Islam, the obligation of the Muslims, is to defend structures? Is that what Allah wants from us? Is that our goal in life as Muslims, to protect Al Masjid Al Aqsa from being destroyed? Has Al Masjid Al Aqsa been vandalized in the past? Was it conquered by crusaders before? Was it controlled by non-Muslims? Absolutely. Did Islam come to an end? Did the Muslims stop worshiping their Lord until they regained it and reconquered it? No. It was life as usual. The Kaaba could be taken down stone by stone, and it doesn't affect anything in terms of you believing in La ilaha illallah and wanting to go to Jannah. It is not your job to go and free all these things. These are topics that will preoccupy you while you don't even know the basics of the religion. So let's assume that these are all facts and that this happens. We will not be able to recapture Al Masjid Al Aqsa or to free Palestine until we return to our deed. حتى ترجعوا إلى دينكم. This is the part that nobody wants to deal with. Nobody wants to deal with the part of going back to the deed. We want to focus on all the politics and all the governments and all the armies and all the soldiers, but nobody wants to focus on the problem. وَلَيَنْصُرَنَّ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَنْصُرُهُ. Allah will give victory to the one who gives victory to his religion. Nobody wants to focus on that. That's what we need to focus on. If we lose Al Masjid Al Aqsa, it's not the end of the world. It is not the end of the world. If all the Palestinians are driven out of their homeland and the Zionists take over, it's still not the end of the world. Does that make us happy? Absolutely not. But Islam and Muslims have gone through far greater than that, from the advent of the Prophet ﷺ until today. It doesn't change the basics and the principles and the fundamentals. But today, people's basics and fundamentals are not tawheed, not warning against shirk, not adherence to the Sunnah versus Bid'ah. No, it is pro-Palestine, anti-Zionist, pro-boycotting, anti-Masjid Al-Aqsa. It's all politics. You are with this government and you're bootlicking that government, and you're not speaking ill of this ruler and you're not criticizing that ruler. This is their deen. Their deen is all politics, activism, and emotional menstruating women. That's all that we have today. Emotional menstruating women, and they're over obsessed with all of these matters while they're not even fulfilling the basics of their deen. Most of these clowns that talk nothing all day, they talk about Al-Aqsa, Palestine, Gaza. They bring women onto their channel. They have ads on their channels that are haram. They're engaged with, they bring, all kinds of nonsense. They fall into all kinds, they put videos of women singing to justify war, inkar munkar. They're all over the place. And they pay taxes to the governments, the respective countries. They're all over the place. But if you don't stop drinking Coke, you're a Zionist rabbi. Who's worse than the Jews? It's a joke, man. No, I'm sad. Oh, and the latest thing is boycott Hajj and Umrah. They're going to boycott one of the 5 pillars of Islam. They want to boycott one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Or don't do Hajj and Umrah. Wallah al-Azim, if you go to the Haram and you look at the amount of people there that are being fed and that are drinking, and some of them don't even book a hotel. They pay for the travel expense and they go do their thing, and they're served and looked after and protected with facilities. Do you know how much it costs to maintain these places? Nobody wants to appreciate any of that. All this is useless. It doesn't, because there was a concert the other day, khalas, then all of the services provided to the Hujjaj and the Mu'tamirin are to be thrown in the trash, there in the drain. They are of absolutely no value. This is the dhulm. This is the oppression. You look and you observe how many people are allowed, people that look like they don't even have money. Somehow they're there in the haram, sleeping and enjoying their worship of Allah, and worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal. يعني what do we say? What do we say? It's really sad, wallah. Allah, it's sad. Now, if I make a mistake in salah, such as reciting Sami al-lahu aman hamida, I said it instead of ayn, by accident, I fully stood before I could fix it. What do I do? I don't know. Please ask those questions to Sheikh Abdul Aziz Al-Haqqan. Ask such a technical question to Abdul Aziz Al-Haqqan. How to respond to the extremists who say there are no Muslim countries in the world? Because they don't rule 100% by Sharia. If you don't pass takfir on the rules, then you become a kafir. Well, I've delivered a number of lectures in refuting those people, Muslim. So I can't really repeat all of these right now. You can go to my channel and go through them. But in summary, just quickly, a Muslim country is looked at as a Muslim country by the majority of its residents, and whether or not it rules 100% by Sharia. Because ruling by Sharia is an obligation on every ruler, and this is what will make this the ultimate Muslim country. But if they're falling short, it doesn't become a kafir country. And to pass takfir on them for not ruling by the Sharia, then this is another level, a layer of ignorance of the people who don't understand even the tafsir of the ayat. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. They don't even know this ayah and what it means, and what the Ibn Abbas and Ibn Mas'ud and Ibn Umar and Mujahid and Ikrimah, they don't even know what these ulama of the Salaf said about these ayat and how they interpreted them. Besides the fact that most of the ulama interpret these ayat in reference to the people of the book, because the context of these ayat is the people of the book. They don't even apply them to Muslims. But besides the point, you could listen to Kaman Sheikh Abdul Aziz Al-Haqqan. He has, I think, a series on refuting all of these doubts about those who rule by other than what Allah had revealed. Now, can you nasal spray in Ramadan? Yes. How do you balance fear part, like hoping your good deeds are accepted while not feeling 100% sure and safe it is accepted, while also having husn dhan for Allah? That's how. By hoping that Allah accepts while fearing that they're not accepted. Exactly as you said it. That's how you balance both. Yeah, there you go. Crystal clear to the people of takfir. Good, yeah, Sister Eleonora. Jazakallahu khairan. How much Quran do you advise me to memorize per day? A juz. You're able to, you're asking me how many, what do I advise you? Memorize the subliminal message I'm trying to deliver to you is as much as you're able to, Ya Mustafa. So most people go with 1 page or 2 pages, which is manageable. 1 or 2 pages. If you're able to do more, do more. If one doesn't fully understand the Imam in Taraweeh and he reads quite fast, is it better if he spends that time to slowly go over the tafsir meaning of the Quran instead? No. Of course, the idea would be both. No, but do both. Because if you pray behind the Imam, you will get the reward of praying all night. And then you could read on your own, inshallah. You have plenty of time, ya Sheikh. Yalla, we need to stop. It's already a long Q&A, mashallah, tabarakallah. I deep down rely on the hadith of Mu'adh, that Allah is upon his slaves. Allah is right upon his slaves that he will not punish them, those who die upon Tawheed. Perfect. He also warned us to rely on that hadith. Sinful. Well, don't rely on that hadith. Because that's why the Prophet ﷺ did not want him to tell. He said, أَفَلَا أُبَشِّرَ النَّاسِ قَالَ لَا فَيَتَّكِلُوا. Should I not give glad tidings to the people? He said, no, otherwise they will rely on it. So don't rely on the hadith. Don't rely on the hadith. You might think that your tawheed is upright. Your tawheed might not be. Tawheed also includes ikhlas, ultimate ikhlas illah, ultimate ikhlas. I cannot sit here in front of you and say that I am 100% sincere all the time. I hope and pray. I make an effort to be sincere to Allah as much as I can. Can I give myself the tazkiyah, purify myself, praise myself, and say that I am 100% sincere? My tawheed is 100% sound? La wallah. So if you're relying on the hadith of Mu'adh, that the right of Allah Azza wa Jal is that if they worship Him alone, that He will not punish them, then I don't have that confidence that I fulfilled that condition. Therefore, we're back to square one. بعدين يا جماعة الخير, is the opinion that the fast gets broken purely by thinking of it based on the first hadith of Arba'in Nawawiyah? Yes, it's a valid opinion. It's a valid opinion that if you have intended to break your fast, even if you didn't manage to eat or drink, you have broken your fast. Now, إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. طيب, جزاكم. Was Sheikh Yusuf Barshik of Bosnia someone upon you? I don't know who that person is. I don't know who that person is. Ya Hajj, wallah ma bisir tayyib. Allah said that the reminder benefits the believer. Can we take from this that the one that does not benefit is not a believer, or does that have kamalul iman? Absolutely the latter, ya amatullah. Because if you advise someone and they don't take the advice, then you pass takfir on them, that's mad. That is mad. Of course, this is like the hadith, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you shall truly believe until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. So this negates كمال الإيمان وليس أصل الإيمان. هذا ينقض كمال الإيمان وليس كمال الإيمان وليس أصل الإيمان. So the more you are a believer, the stronger your iman, the more you will be reminded. The weaker your iman, the less you will be reminded. If you don't take the advice, meaning your iman is struggling, but you don't reach a point where you become a disbeliever. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد.